with these like little phone conversations, I'm gonna go ahead and do this so there's no interruption on the audio. I've realized that you know I feel like I'm an old radio show sometimes when I'm having these conversations with my friends. So, guys, I want to have another chat with this wonderful person, Gunther H. Hammond. And what were we talking about, bro? The welfare system. All right, man. So pretty much, yeah. The way I see it, bro, like people are on welfare. There are reasons, but I personally I don't understand welfare too much. Okay. I know this topic. I haven't talked about this shit in a while. I know we used to talk about this back in the day, and it was pretty much like like that's kind of like where a lot of racism and bigotry stems from. Um, just because like you're a minority, like we have the freedom system pretty much here, like the best freaking freedom system there is, just one of a kind, right? So what's happening is, we have these like certain immigrants or like certain people like who did make it here like legitimately, and like the new generations that come from that, that's why that was enacted. Pretty much, long story short. Without going into history, I don't know the history of it, of course, but you know. Yeah.
go to the feds just because you have a job, then you give your local government to pay for school. It's fucking insane. And then after World War II, which is crazy because not long after 1913, World War I came, then World War II. After that, when the whole Geneva Convention, when they were trying to say, well, you can't use this war, you can't use that war, now they're saying, well, we have all these veterans coming back, now we need to give them help. It was a great system at that time. But then, every system has a flaw, and these people try to find these flaws. They went on welfare. Now you have third, fourth, and fifth generation, the children of these people who saw their parents didn't work, didn't have to work, got everything they needed, and now they're on welfare. And until we break that system, it's not going to stop. It's going to get worse. Right now, we're tipping the scales. We have I think it's 45% of the country is some sort of government assistance. So at 45%, that only leaves 55% that's paying for all this. Once that scale tips the other way, you can't afford it no more.
Alright, so right now, that brings me to interest of, I want to analyze this guy. So, essentially, it's hard to understand because I've heard the name, like it is familiar, and I've heard about the 20th president a long time ago, but like if I really think about it, I didn't feel that it was still affecting us to this day, and like that's what that's what people like who know a lot about politics and the history of it, they'll tell you, like there's some people like it's pretty basic for them. They pretty much know like all the presidents that we've had so far. I remember in school, at a certain point, I had to learn all the presidents, every single one of them, and what they did. And it's like, like a lot of adults, like our problems are like we've gone through the schooling, we learn these things, but then like the younger generation, they learn these things, right? And they're like, I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna be doing this, and some of them get good at that, and some of them don't. But like that's the thing, like a lot of people they live up in ignorance. And they like I remember growing up, like the parents are always so ignorant that they fucked with the school and try to tell them like this is what you can and can't teach because this is what I feel.
I mean, American history, when I was in school, when we were in school, the stuff that we learned in history, man, when I really took the time out of my life to learn real American history, man, it's crazy, man. They don't teach you nothing in school about American history. They teach you what they want you to know. But see, when they talk about the freedom of America, and they talk about the Pledge of Allegiance, and all that, they don't tell you where it comes from, where it stems from. They don't tell you about the Bill of Rights, the whole Constitution. Most of the time, all you'll learn is, there's 27 amendments. Or the Bill of Rights has 10 amendments. But they won't tell you what they say. Because, to be honest, I mean, to be completely honest, as the federal government, they look at the document, the Constitution, and it's because the Constitution is to limit government. It's not even to limit the people. It's to limit government. And that's why the federal government hates the Constitution. Because it basically tells them they have no power over it. The only reason that the government has been able to do what they do is because the people have been dumbed down through school and through a lot of different avenues. But they, like if you ask a lot of people in my generation, well, what's the Fourth Amendment? They're like, I don't know. Now, there was the Second Amendment is because of all this gun stuff going on right now. And they know the First Amendment, but they don't know the First and 27th Amendment. I mean,
True.
It's crazy.
What is that amendment, right? Because I don't know that amendment, so I don't want to stay in ignorance. What is that amendment?
Oh, the Fourth Amendment?
What is the fourth? All right, the fourth is the right to bear weapons, right?
No, that's the
Fourth.
The first is the freedom of speech and the freedom of press. The second amendment is for guns. The third amendment, I'm pretty sure.
I learned all this. Look, check it out, bro. I learned all this in government class, I for some reason, I liked it. I liked it so much. Well, I don't want to say it's government class, but like you kind of see how far I've strayed. And so like I got an A, bro. Like, this teacher, like she would not freaking quit on me. Like, for whatever reason, like I try to, like the thing is, like some teachers, they're not trying to teach kids nowadays that they feel like they're bad seed. Like, if you want, like really, like it's kind of sucks, but like that's what it is sometimes. So,
Well, that man, and when you look at these kids, what they do at school,
but like I got that A though. So I got that A. I learned all these amendments, bro. But I feel like the thing is, like all these amendments, like these different branches of government, and like these different lawyer type cases. Like the thing is, people don't realize. Like my perspective is, people like the main thing that I think everyone should know. They should just know it. Is that a lot of these laws, they were actually civil suits, like different kinds of civil suits. And like my teacher, she would give me like we'd have to do this kind of thing like we had to do it in like 2 minutes or like this or that. Like she'd really rush to like get us like I don't know. I felt like she was like a professor really. But yeah, so she'd freaking rush this stuff. So like she'd have this like pamphlet, like this little book, and like we'd open it up, and like right there it tell us this lawyer and this person and then this person like this happened and that happened, and like she had this way of teaching like, oh, like some of these are fictional and some of these aren't, and like at first like my mind automatically thought like some of these like whole cases and some of these less cases are like either fake or wrong. Like that's usually like what the brain thinks. It's like you get to learning something, you think of it as a big thing. Like you don't add details. So that's like the imagination. That's the lack of imagination. So like yeah, going through that, I started learning like, oh, this is, and I started having fun with it. I started learning like, oh, so that's what that happens. And like I learned everything. I learned every freaking thing about government. And by this time, I forgot. I didn't learn about presidential history, but I have a pretty good idea of like certain laws. But let's go back to amendments, bro. Like how many amendments are there though?
There's 27.
There's 27. All right, there's 27. In my mind just thought 20 amendments. And I think that like a lot of people like when they speak out about like, oh, I don't know my amendments. Like if you're in school and you say something like that, like people are like, oh, you don't know your amendments? You don't know? Like you don't know the number? And like they'll just assume. I feel like you have to take your pride out of it. Sometimes like in order to really learn, like you have to put yourself out there like an idiot. You have to like realize that what you don't, what you know, what you thought you knew isn't that great. And like, it sucks because sometimes when you put yourself out there like an idiot, people will try to like say, well, oh, it's such a hard task to teach this person something, and I'm not a teacher. I don't like that. So it gets to that point where it's like you can't always speak out to get that knowledge. Like you have to get more creative than, I don't know my amendments. Like you have to sometimes, like for example, like people would just tell you nowadays, like you have a smartphone, just Google it. So I mean, like I feel like if you want to learn, like my thing is I love stuff about learning. But anyways, I'm straying from the topic. The one thing I want to learn. All right, so you have 27 amendments. Name each one of them.
I can't. There's so many.
All right, so I'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and take the time to look this stuff up. 27 amendments. Why were they enacted?
The first amendment is your freedom of speech, freedom of press. Your second amendment is for guns. The third amendment.
These are good guys. speaking to the viewers. These are good guys.
And the Third Amendment is
And girls.
the right of the people to stop military from being able to be stationed into their homes. Like if a catastrophe happened, the military can't come to my door and tell me, hey, I'm staying in your house now.
All right, check it out, bro. Check it out right now. I'm gonna show you what this is about. All right, First Amendment, 1791, rights to religion, speech, press, assembly, petition. Those are all good right there. Second Amendment, 1791, right to bear arms. Third, 1791, courting of soldiers. Fourth, so courting. If I know the right, what it is, like what this word is, I'm gonna say courting of soldiers is like you can like court them. So like that's even like up to a certain point a sexual thing. But like I don't believe they meant that. Obviously not a sexual thing. Like that was actually more like way back in the history. It was kind of like a way of flirting. They just call it courting, but it's not that in this case. In this case, courting is kind of like if you walk up to someone. All right, what is courting, man? What is courting? Do you know what courting is?
What the amendment means is that during wartime, you can tell the soldier they can't be stationed in your home. They can't come to your home and say, I'm gonna be stationed here. This is where I'm gonna hide out in. Sort of like in Iraq, they just go in any building they want and hide in it. But in America, they can't do that. They can't come into your home. And the Fourth Amendment is your freedom to say no search, no seizures, and you're warned. So like if they want to raid your house, they have to have a warrant, and they have to specify the person or things to be seized.
I want to say this. I want to say this. All right, so a lot of people know amendments 1 through 4 because those are what they believe are the most important. A little fun fact that I learned early on. The more you go down the list of amendments is actually by succession of power. I believe it. That's how the American government works. And like I'm not gonna say it's the specific American government because I took a general government class, so it didn't just cover specifically U.S. government. It covered monarchies. Like there's about like 6 different governments. There's monarchies. There's democratic, which is what we are. There's nationalist. There's loyalist. It's something to do with loyalism. It's kind of like how Britain is with the Queen, like royalty. So like royalty type structure, which is I guess you would call that one a monarchy. It's hard to know. Have the definition.
Actually a republic. We're not a democracy.
Oh, okay, yeah. There's republic. Yeah, I never really liked republics too much. Like the thing is, all of these governments they were actually structured. It's kind of like there's like certain kinds of martial arts, right? They're very popular. Well, there's certain kinds of governments that are very popular, and like to this day, some things that people don't realize there are new governments being invented. Like there's not just like a series of 6. Like there's ways to identify, but there's also hybrids of governments. Like what I want to learn, something like when I go back to college, what I want to learn, and I don't even know what this class would be called. So like if someone who like is into this education stuff, they got like good college stuff, and like they happen to be able to like remember what it is that is going on. All I want to know, guys, what class, comment below what class, if you can find out what class talks about governments working together. So like what happens when, for example, a monarchy works with a democracy, or a republic works with this, how has that influenced everyday living? How does that happen? Or like what is something like the UN? Is the UN the only thing? Like I'm sure that like there's a big superpower with the UN. There's obviously like there's the NATO peace treaty, and then like there's different things like that to get enacted, but that's not really the same. Like, what can you classify that as? So if you guys know, leave that down in the comments. I'm gonna start college up soon. I'm gonna go do some temp agency stuff so I can get back in college and get educated, because that's what I like. All right, that's how I like it. All right, that's what life is for me. So, yeah. All right, so I'm gonna move on to the Fifth Amendment: grand jury, double jeopardy, self-incrimination, due process. A lot of people, they don't even know what that means. So grand jury, that means big peers, pretty much. Like, imagine like 100 of your friends, grand jury. Double jeopardy, that one I don't remember too much, but I may be wrong. Double jeopardy is like go ahead and remind me, because I know you know this one.
Yeah, so double jeopardy is when we'll say you get tried for a murder and you are found not guilty. They cannot retry you for that murder once you are proven not guilty.
Okay, self-incrimination. I know everyone knows what that is.
I plead the Fifth Amendment. I don't want to talk.
Okay, due process.
Due process is how the system works. So you get arrested, you do a trial, like that's due process.
So
Like
everyone knows the
process
Fifth
of it
Amendment. That's like the most common thing. I feel like that's what I knew growing up. Sixth Amendment, 1791. Rights of accused in criminal prosecution, rights to jury trial, to confront opposing witnesses and counsel. Alright, that's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, you know who your accusers are.
Yeah, 1791, jury trial. Alright, everyone knows what a jury trial, guys, is. And if you don't know it, pretty much like, come on, jury duty, look that up. Okay, 8th, 1791, protections against excessive bail, cruel and unusual punishment.
Yes, so that means they can't put you in life in prison for stealing a candy bar.
9th, 1791, non-inaugurated rights. Sorry, I'm so sorry, guys. Enumerated rights. So, enumerated, I don't even know what that word is. I wish I did. It's a good word. What is it? We don't know. Enumerated. Things like voted in, like the rights have to be voted in. I'm going to go ahead and say that's what it is. So, enumerated. Mention a number of things one by one. So yeah, pretty much a voting system. But it's not to say specifically that it's voting. But that's what voting has come to be. Well, the reason I say this is because I tied that in with how senators are put into power, how voting usually works, how panels work. We're just touching on the basics, guys, like real basic stuff. So what is this? So 10th, 1791, rights reserved to states. Okay, so that's pretty obvious.
The state's sovereignty from the government.
Say that again. I like how you put that. That was actually, I feel like that was right off a book.
Yeah, the state's sovereignty from the government.
Okay. 11th, 1795, suits against the state. So, that's somewhat vague to me.
Wait, how did it say it?
Suits, S-U-I-T-S, against a state. So, like, lawsuits, I guess, like, different kinds of, like, so, I guess you wouldn't say specifically any laws, or, like, anything like that. So, anything that would be a suit. Like, it could be.
Well,
It didn't have to be necessarily
the
a.
suits are what it is that the feds got to stay out of the business of the state.
Yeah. Okay. So everyone knows that. I was trying to go a little more into detail. Of course, like I always try to elaborate and like kind of push. I do this thing, guys. Like you may not like this. This is my style of teaching. I like to throw in the insight and then also add kind of my opinion of that. And like that's not actually a good way to teach. It's not. It's like one of the most amateur things. So, 12th Amendment, 1804, election of president and vice president.
That's obvious.
That's obvious.
How it works on electing a president.
13th, 1865, abolition of slavery and involuntary servitude. So, yeah, I'm not sure how that became an amendment. 1865. I'm not saying like it's not a good amendment, like God no. I'm not saying that. So don't turn away on that one. That's good because otherwise we'd be like a third world country. So we don't need that. 14th, 1868 protects rights against state infringements, defines citizenship, prohibits states from interfering with privileges and immunities, requires due process, equal protection, punishes states for denying votes, and disqualifies Confederate officials and debts. So pretty much the state is seeking.
What you're reading right now, once you pass the 10th Amendment, what you're reading now from that is the original meaning of these amendments. Which you see, there's subsections to these amendments now. From the 11th to the 27th, there's subsections. And these amendments have changed basically so drastically on some of them that I couldn't even tell you what the half of them mean anymore because you can't really keep up with them. Like they've been these amendments left and right so far.
Those are elastic clauses, and I was going to touch on that subject. So, 15th, 1870, voting rights. You had the right to vote, and that one pretty much states like there was a certain case where I know the origin of this one. It was the thing is a lot of people don't realize these amendments. They don't just straight up come out from the woodworks when we arrived here on the Mayflower. These things didn't come out from the Tea Party. These things were actually some of the original kind of like certain things that we picked out of Great Britain when we came out here, and then like certain other things were added because of different like Frenchmen and like different races and like different very important people, very important players at the time who did a lot of things the right way, and then they got there, and then like that's how we funded this great nation, so to say. Like I'm not gonna lie, some of them were straight up pirate type people. Like if you look them up, you'll notice that some of these people like they were rebellious. That's why when I see a rebellious kid or I see a rebellious person, I don't get that mad because that's essentially that's what makes you American. If you don't have that rebellion in you, you're not American.
Well, and see, that's the thing is that if the Brits would have won the war, I mean George Washington was considered a traitor. We would have been learning a whole different history if they would have lost the war. You know what I'm saying? If they would have lost these battles, I mean, they would have been considered traitors. They would have been enemies of this nation if they would have lost. Our whole lives would be different right now. They were extremists. I think a lot of people tend to forget that. A lot of people tend to forget that these forefathers, especially if you read the Federalist.
They were extremists, though, right? So okay, that's the kind of nation, guys. So when you see someone acting freaking, like I live in Plainfield, guys. Okay. What happens out here? I start acting extreme. People like, oh, he's crazy. And I'll be like, you're an ignorant immigrant. You came from somewhere else because you're not American. Like, I don't want to put it like that, but like, because that's also part of what makes us us. But it's kind of like you're not really being American unless you're acting crazy. I don't know, like not obviously not delusional, fucking crazy, like psycho bitch type shit. But like, yeah, pretty much you should be doing something extreme. If it's not extreme, it's not American. Okay, so voting rights. 15th, 15th Amendment, 1870, voting rights. So yeah, that's what that is. And then 16th Amendment, it's 1913 federal income tax. All right, so what do you think about that?
So the 15th Amendment. So if you read the 15th Amendment, there's nothing about taxes on people of that level. If you read the original text, it's talking about state taxes, not federal taxes. But that's how basically the IRS can come and seize all your stuff because of the way they have amended those amendments, or that particular amendment, because they have the Supreme Court. They're the ones who tell us what the amendments mean, and that's basically how the federal taxes came into play. But because of the fact the original document was written in a certain way, that's why some people like Will Nelson can fucking be millions upon millions of dollars and fucking IRS debt, tax debt, and not go to jail. I mean, that's the thing. Is I've talked to these tax accountants and I've asked them. I said, point me where it tells me I have to pay income tax, and we can't. So tell you, there's the 16th Amendment. I'll tell them where. Tell me where in the 16th Amendment it tells me I have to pay federal income tax for my work. It says it nowhere. It does not say it in there. And there is no law that states that. No law that states that. So they will tell you it does. Pretty much just pay taxes. But you see, taxes all started as a charity type thing. And it's kind of like when you look at TV and you see these like ASPCA for the dogs and stuff. It starts off like that as a charity. We need help in this county, so help us. Pay taxes, help us.
Yes. Okay,
Well,
I feel you
now
on that.
it's all the money they could make, and they just
Let's move on to. I just want to finish this list. I know that that's not like sometimes you just want to have those open debates, but let's move on. 17th, 1913 popular election of senators. My question for you is senators. All right, so those are state representatives. Everyone knows this. 1919 prohibition. Okay, prohibition. That's today. That's not just alcohol, because that's not actually what happened. If you watch Boardwalk Empire, it'll tell you it's very historically correct, and so very violent actually. Like I'm 24 and I'll watch this stuff and be like, I can't watch this, man. Like this is crazy. like this actually happened. So I haven't even finished that series. Great series. Pretty old. Everyone's watched it by now. But if you want to watch it, go ahead. 18th, 1990. Wait, no, I reread that one. So, alright, yeah. So I want to touch on the subject. Prohibition, guys. Pretty much, like, that states, like, any kind of drugs, pretty much, like, alcohol, cigarettes. So that can be anything, guys. That can be literally anything. Just that word in general, and that's it. So 1920, women's right to vote. Alright, so everyone knows about the movement with the girl with the arm and the bandana and the blue thing she was wearing. much, guys, at a certain point, we're all treating women like us men, or if you want to say us men, or even women themselves are treating themselves that way. And like I've seen a lot of movies that are based in that around that time, and it's not to say that that system was fucked up, because it's still, that system is still happening around the world. But like for the American public, the way things were happening is a lot of men were abusing women, and like it wasn't like at first it was like abusing women, like doing certain things. At first, the way this stuff set up, so like if you're asking why was this ever made, why was it ever like that before, and then why was this made? All right, the reason it was like that before, guys, is that back then men had a higher moral code towards women. Okay, it started off with like a good thing, right? And it's like, it's understood that we have to take care of that child. All right, so like therefore we have to play these roles, and like that's what it has to be, you know. And sure, it'd be fun if you did this and you visit me at work, but you have